I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. Poppin' tan model BC couldn't brag 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 enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain.
And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and joining me from the sunny U.S. Virgin Islands, probably staring at the sun, the beautiful landscape from his balcony, is Jim Sarro.
Hey, Bob. I am so happy to talk Horizon League basketball, even though it was a tough week for the Horizon. I mean, when we're objectively thinking that NIU had the best Horizon League win of the week, it might be a tough 45 minutes to fill. But let's do it anyway. We got 3 winnable games on tap before our recording today, and 4 games on total for the Horizon League where they can improve that record, which is currently 3-14 for the week.
It is really bad. Actually, by the way, the answer to it's amazing how I never thought I'd hear the words I'd say the words NIU should have we really need NIU to be here now. But here we are. Jim, you can find on Twitter at Jim Sarro. You can he just posted a beautiful pic of. If you don't believe me when I'm saying, he's probably sitting watching the beautiful horizon from his the beautiful landscape from his from where he's at. If you don't believe me, go follow him on Twitter. He actually posted a picture for sure. You can follow us on the web at horizonroundtable.com. You can find all the links to all of our social media accounts and sites where podcasts are available at horizonroundtable.com/subscribe. Become a patron, patreon.com/horizonroundtable. There's one nice interactive thing that we're doing now that's exclusive to patrons, which is the guest of the Horizon League player. We threw up a softball this week, which is kind of a make good for last week, which I'm pretty sure nobody got. Eric Fisher does that, but it's exclusive to patrons, and you can get early access to the power rankings, which I'm gonna have a hell of a time writing this week, and other exclusive content. So yeah, you could definitely do that. But you can only do it because if you're a patron, patreon.com/Horizon Roundtable. And we are back to our normal donation drive, where the money goes to pay our writers, that thing that we really want to do and we need your help with. So horizonroundtable.com/donate. And Jim, to your point, it's been a very, very bad week for the Horizon League.
Well, I'm going to save everybody a little bit of reading, and I'm sure that the power rankings have Toledo, Kent State, and Eastern Michigan at some order of the top of the league. Just kidding, of course, but yeah, it was a tough week because even
I'm just kidding about one of those. See if you can guess which one.
Man, it was tough because Oakland, obviously, they schedule the murderer's row of games, and they have a tough game down at Central Florida, but close, and then they go to EMU and don't get the victory, and that's a little bit of a frustrating sign for us fans of the league, because those are the kind of wins that we need. And you play all those tough games to be sharp, so that when you play the mid majors, you can take them down. And unfortunately, this week 2-11 versus mid majors, with 3 winnable mid majors games on the docket today, but still, it's not good.
No. I mean, and let's talk about that Monday game with Oakland and UCF. And to your point, that was an absolutely winnable game. That was a winnable game for them, which is ironic because the last time UCF played a Horizon League team was Milwaukee, and Milwaukee also almost beat UCF. Seems to be an annual tradition to go down to Orlando as a Horizon League team and come this close to beating UCF. I will say this. Oakland was, as we probably saw, Oakland was foiled in their upset bid by a familiar face to all us Horizon League fans, JaMychal Stillwell.
Yeah, he had a bunch of rebounds, I believe, in that game, and I'm sure Panther fans are probably stewing because they couldn't get a rebound last night when it mattered against the Shockers, and he would have gone a long way in doing that. But we'll get our revenge when they're declining an NIT bid in
Yeah.
March, because they're probably not going to go very far. But
Or
that
if
doesn't
because
help.
Johnny Dawkins got fired. Yeah, you're to your point. Stillwell got a double double, and we shouldn't be surprised by that. I mean, we saw that all last year when he was at Milwaukee, 20 points and 14 rebounds. But another ex-Panther, Themis Fulks, also got a double double, 11 points and 10 assists. It's almost, Jim, like they were seeking revenge for the quarterfinal loss in the conference tournament last year.
I mean, that holds some water, and yet I would say that they would much rather have had that win at home at the Kalachi Center over the one they got this week. But we're living in the present now, not the past.
That is true, or the future, because I'm beginning to wonder if Johnny Dawkins is going to try to start recruiting Oakland players to his team for next year.
Does Buru have another
I'm
year
just
left somehow?
no Buru has only one. Yeah, Buru only. This is last year, so yeah, take Arco Oakland fans. You've got Buru for the stretch.
There you go.
But yeah,
Well,
but
the cool thing for Oakland this week, though, if there was a positive in their two losses, we did see the return of Hogue. He had 17 points against Eastern Michigan.
he did.
Yep. So at least Coach Campy had talked a lot about their 9-man rotation and how he felt really strong about that. They have had no against the mid-major teams that they played. They've scored the ball just fine. I mean, they had 91 points and lost against Eastern Michigan. They just had zero team defense in that game. 63%
Yeah,
field goal percentage allowed, 45% from deep. I mean, that's not good. But hopefully, once now they have all their pieces in place, they'll
yeah.
get the rest of November and December to get themselves ready for league play, because this is a team that we all expect, and quite frankly, the way it's built and what they paid for, should be at the top of this league or near the top of
Sure.
this league, and now they got their guys. So now it's go time.
So yeah, to your point, and you talk about that 9-man rotation, and with this team, especially on the offensive end, you even in the games again, even in all these bye games, you're seeing that Oakland doesn't have a lot of drop off in when you go down the line, go down the rotation. I mean, because any one of those guys can come in and hurt you, and we saw that this week. We saw now that Michael Hogue is back in the rotation. There's another weapon that could hurt you. I mean, we've seen Brett White go off. Um, are you sure he's 27? I'm still that one. That one's still that's still amazing that the dude didn't even play the dude didn't even play basketball for 4 years and then magically reappear at Rochester Christian and now he's at Oakland.
I mean, the
So
stories sometimes write themselves, so hopefully that is for them. If it's a fairy tale story, and now they got their guys, maybe they'll start a fairy tale season. Although they just came off a fairy tale season, so the hell with them. Let's have somebody else have some moments. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm kidding.
yeah, it's. But I think to your point, I think once they get the defense down, because the defense seems to be kind of especially against Eastern Michigan, the defense seems to be kind of an issue for them. I mean, well, once they get that going, I mean, they should be okay. And I probably have them. I probably have had them ranked a little too low in my in the power rankings. Um, Although losing to Eastern Michigan doesn't help your case, guys.
Well, and if I remember correctly, last week we talked about Eastern Michigan falling to a different Horizon League team that promptly went and laid two big eggs this week. So,
Wow. So yes, so you are referring to IU Indy and IU. What the heck happened? So it appears that so in IU right now, as of right now, the system is producing the following: IU Indy's ability to score a bunch of points, but conversely, it appears that uh opponents can also score a lot of points, as Charleston Southern did by scoring 103 points. And Alabama State, I did not see this one coming. They won by 20, and it wasn't even particularly close for the first game of the MTE that IU Indy is in at the Air Force Academy. And by the way, speaking of which, and this is a weird thing that I've seen very rarely. This game was on the Mountain West Network, Jim. So I was happy about that. But one thing that was weird about it, there were no announcers. There was no play-by-play guy, nobody. So basically it was just a couple of cameras shooting, and apparently if you wanted commentary, you had to make it up yourself.
Was there any arena feed like with the PA system, or was it like complete silence?
It was, I mean, it was not complete silence. I mean, it was mic'd up. It was mic'd up
Okay,
like it normally would be for a regular game. There just wasn't a dude doing play-by-play.
okay.
So you could hear everything except for somebody saying what the hell's going on.
I had
Like, I
a
don't know
long
any of
time
these
ago.
guys from Alabama State. I mean, with how much IU Indy rotates, I barely know who's on the court then with them either.
A long time ago, the NBA TV channel used to once in a while air NBA games with the arena feed. So all you could hear was the PA announcer talking. And it was kind
Mm,
of a refreshing change because, NBA national broadcasted games are just a bunch of blowhards. Conversely, most mid-major games are just a bunch of homers talking. So I'm not really sure where I fall on the complete silence game, but I'm not willing to rule it out for certain arenas or certain teams across the league. But the big thing,
yeah,
take away to your point, 103 points to Charleston Southern, 101 points to Alabama State. It reminds me of Division III Grinnell, who subs five guys at a time, takes every available three, and loses, all the time. I'm not saying that's their style, of course. It's just right now the results aren't there for what IU Indy is attempting to do because, yeah, scoring 80 and 91 points respectively should get you a win, and yet in both those
yeah,
games was a double-digit loss. So they've got a lot of work to do on the defensive end to get themselves in a spot to be winning some Horizon League games here come December.
yeah. And again, we thought. I mean, when we saw UND beat Eastern Michigan, I thought for sure that was kind of the turning point. It's like, I mean, we hope it's not a one-off. We need it not to be a one-off, but I, it, that's kind of that's kind of the running theme for the Horizon League in general this week. It just is.
Yeah.
So
Well, hopefully this Air Force game will be interesting for anybody that does watch it because Air Force traditionally has a lot of more slow, methodical style play, a lot more of the Princeton style of offense historically, and so juxtapose that with the IU Indy system, it could be at least be an entertaining game to watch, and hopefully not a double digit loss for the Jaguars or
yeah,
Metropolitans, depending on how big of a fan or how long you've been a fan.
it's entirely possible. But but and Air Force isn't doing all that great this year either. So,
I believe they might
um,
be winless or only have one win,
no,
something
they're
like that.
2-4 actually. They're
Oh,
two
are
and
they?
four. No, they beat Alabama State 66-64 on Wednesday. So they just barely got past them, and then they beat up SIUE. So I don't know, man. It seems
Yeah,
pretty bleak. Just throwing that out there.
yeah.
Um, but I know we've referenced Eastern Michigan a couple of times today already. So let's go ahead and jump into the fact that they beat that Detroit Mercy lost to them at Callahan Hall, and Detroit Mercy, man, it seems to me that things are just not going as well as I thought they might go for those guys because, I mean, yeah, they went to Michigan State. It's Michigan State. You knew that. You knew what was going to happen there. I mean, but again, I mean, East. This is a Eastern Michigan, and this is a game that again we shouldn't. When we talk about the non-conference schedules, we've talked about this over and over again. Not just this season, but in years past. there are going to be games that, let's face it, there's probably a very low chance you're going to win. The Michigan States of the world, or those kind of places where there's a pretty low probability you're going to win, and if you do, it's going to be like all over the news the next day. There's also games you should be absolutely positively winning. You should absolutely positively winning, no doubt about that, and that's the non-Division One games. Oddly enough, we only had one this week, which we'll talk about a little later. But then there are those in-between games against those fellow mid-majors, against the Eastern Michigans of the world, or the Kent States of the world, or the Valpos of the world, where these are games that these are games that need to be won, and the Horizon League, by and large, with only two notable exceptions, did not do. And Eastern Michigan, and if you're at home, Eastern Michigan should absolutely be a game that you should be winning at home. And that's not what happened.
Bob, this was so bad. I checked multiple locations of the box score to make sure I didn't see this wrong. And the box score reported that Detroit Mercy shot 1 of 19 on threes in that game against Eastern Michigan. 1 of 19 on threes.
Yeah.
How is that possible in today's modern basketball game that you don't have the ability to make more than one three-pointer? That is insane to me.
That was in the first half they shot that one. I think I remember that three-pointer too. It was from Lance Stone. I mean, it is, I don't know, man. It's just, I am absolutely not understanding what's happening here.
And that's a recurring theme. If we think about what we've talked about with Detroit Mercy on the last couple of weeks, their three-point shooting has been abysmal. Lovejoy is not a three-point shooter. He actually was 0 of 0 in that game. So your primary scorer doesn't take threes, but that's fine. You play within yourself. You play to your strengths. But the rest of their team needs to be able to complement a guy like Lovejoy who can get in the lane and make things happen. And 1 of 19 is not – I mean, hell, you think about it. If they shoot 25% from three, which would be terrible by most people's standards, they win that game by 2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's something they're gonna have to work out for sure. It's funny, Jim, that we've kind of transitioned from it wasn't that long ago where we had Antoine Davis, who who basically lived beyond the arc for most of the time. And now we get to this, latest iteration of Detroit Mercy, and three-pointers are a foreign concept right now.
Yeah.
By the way, one other thing and I didn't realize, I forgot about this, is that Callahan Hall is undergoing some renovations. So when I was watching the game, they have the kind of arena feed, and you can see like a section of Callahan Hall that's like tarped, tarped off. And I looked at it and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, who is that section that reserved for? Patrick Bateman from American Psycho? Like, yeah, I mean, I know what they're doing over there. I don't know why my head just went to that in that direction. Probably because I clearly spend entirely too much time on the internet and need to go touch grass. Too many memes, Jim. Too many memes.
I'll say this. I appreciate that Detroit has actually been making some upgrades to Callahan. You see the work they're doing in that corner of the court. You see that they put in, what's that, courtside seats? Give your customers a VIP experience. I appreciate they're doing that for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you think about, and I know some Detroit fans will be mad at me for saying this, but 50 years ago, this is a program that was playing against Marquette and DePaul and all the other great, private schools. And through just complete non-understanding and reading the tea leaves and mismanagement, they're playing in the Horizon League and not very well compared to everybody that they played 50 years ago has moved up in the world through making the right moves. I now appreciate that they have some vision to say, hey, we've got a historic gym, but it doesn't have to be kept in its original condition. Let's upgrade. Let's put some things in to make it more appealing to fans to come here and spend some time. Because quite frankly, it's not a very appealing place to sit and watch a game. If you, in my mind, I've been there and I did not care for it. So, but I'm glad that they're making it.
I'm going to venture to guess, Jim, that the reason that I'm going to venture to guess that your experience is shared also by Detroit Mercy fans, and this is why this is happening. This
is why they read books at the game.
Oh, come on, man! Why did Book Guy have to catch a stray?
Because he's an iconic part of the Horizon League that makes it awesome. So I didn't mean to shoot it as a stray. He is an icon.
I don't even have any. By the way, I don't have any proof Book Guy actually listens to this podcast, but I'd like to think he does, and he's probably writing notes in the margins of his books about this. But I don't know. We'll see.
We have no proof that Book Guy listens to this podcast, and we have no proof that Book Guy watches Horizon League basketball. We just know he's at Horizon League basketball.
Hey, that's fine. But he's there. But he is there. It doesn't matter. He is there.
So we're talking about. I was gonna say we're talking about 3-point shooting being an issue, and this week, I want to talk a little Purdue Fort Wayne because they had 2 games, road games, bye games. Utah they played well, and for them, when they get contributions from their big 3, had not Stevenson and DeAndre Craig, they're going to be able to compete. But they go down to St. Louis after an 8-point loss on the road at Utah. 34 of their 61 shots were from 3, and they only hit 21%. So I mean, we're still in boom or bust mode for Purdue Fort Wayne, and Max Nelson, a player that many people kind of thought was going to take a step forward this year, have a bigger opportunity. Wasn't much of a rebounder in the past, still isn't. And last I checked, was under 30% shooting on the season, and most of the shots were from deep. I mean, he was like way under 30% last I checked. So just
he only got 5 chances to even hit at 3. I mean, he hit 2 of them, but he only got 5. He only attempted 5 shots. So that was I mean, I don't know. I feel like in this case, he definitely it was a situation where they didn't have an opportunity. But again, to your point, basically everybody was having a problem shooting the 3-pointer in this particular game. I mean, 7 of 34 is nothing to write home about, especially if you're Purdue Fort Wayne and you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And against St. Louis, they definitely died by the 3 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, a 31-point whipping by the Billikens, that is not pleasant to the eyes. That's not even fun to talk about.
Well, not even. What's even worse is not even the shooting was bad enough, but I think in the preseason we talked about their size and talked about how is that going to affect them as far as rebounding is concerned. In this case, St. Louis out rebounded them 50 to 24. 50 to 24. And that is brutal. I mean, even you combine just getting completely dominated on the glass and your inability to shoot a 3-pointer. Yeah, you can see why this one was a 31-point loss.
Yeah, and that's frustrating.
It was brutal.
From a standpoint of like D'Angelo Elise, this big guy that hasn't really gotten on the glass. You had Darius Duffy. I can't speak to the stats I don't have the box score in front of me right now, but like these are the moments where if your team's not shooting, the big guys you have need to go after it and get the ball. The other guards, I mean, lots of threes should be long rebounds, fighting for rebounds out on the perimeter, and to get that badly out rebounded. And, it's not as if, and I know he's a iconic fan favorite across college basketball, but it's not like Robbie Avila is jumping to the top of the box to get all these boards.
No.
This is a team that you maybe can rebound against, but at least not be negative 26 on the glass.
No. By the way, to your point, Robbie Avila wasn't even the. I mean, he only got 3 rebounds. Amari McCautry killed them, but and everybody else did. But
Amari McCautry is from Milwaukee, and I had the chance to see him play in high school. And when he went to St. Louis, I was like, he seemed like one of those guys that athletically he's a A10 type player, but I just wasn't sure skill wise and like sometimes I'd see him play in high school and he'd kind of get sidetracked through frustration. But he
Uh-huh.
has really stepped up. I mean, that guy is a
Oh yeah.
baller. That guy's a baller. I know we're the Horizon podcast, but dude, that guy is a baller. He's from Milwaukee and he gets a shout out from me because I'm from Milwaukee. God bless Amari McCautry. Although I don't appreciate that you had to kick, Purdue Fort Wayne's butt because that's not fun to talk about.
Yeah. And by the way, to your point on the 3-pointers, in the loss to Utah, they were still only 33%. I mean, they were 9 of 27 from 3-pointers. So, I mean, again, if they can get to the point where they're shooting better they're shooting better from beyond the arc, which again is Purdue Fort Wayne's bread and butter. And they absolutely need to get that going. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, long conference season for sure.
Well, I'll tell you the team that did do a nice job from three this week in their lone appearance in the was Northern Kentucky. They went to Central Michigan and put a whooping on Central Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
And 24-point beat down of the Chippewas, and they hit 48% of their threes. They had four guys with 13 points or more. I mean, that is the Northern Kentucky that fans are used to seeing. Just clinically pick a team apart and not let them score. I mean, they're probably not going to be able to do that all the time, but like from a standpoint of this particular game, I mean, that was a great win for the
I mean,
league.
if we're being honest, I don't know if we have proof that they can't. I mean, uh,
Yeah.
the guys that I mean, we've been wondering. My question was always kind of the adjustment that Northern Kentucky would make with so many new guys, because this is a situation that Darren Horn has never been in before, where he's not bringing back a lot of his guys from the year before. He only has a couple who have extensive playing time, Dan Goretzka and LJ Wells. Well, as it turns out, these guys are doing the new guys are adjusting pretty well. Cale Robinson has been doing great, and I guess it should be expected because we should be expecting at least one of the non D1 guys that Darren Horn has brought in to do pretty well. And it turns out Cale Robinson is that guy this year. But also too, especially against Central Michigan, you finally saw what a lot of people were looking for out of Donovan O'Day, who came off the bench and scored 20 points. And I think that's a guy that they really need to get going. And I think one of the other things with Northern Kentucky too is historically, as we know, Darren Horn has played a pretty short bench. I mean, he's got a pretty short bench. He's had that for years. I guess the question will now become of who is going to be in the who else on the in this on his bench is going to be a more prominent part of this rotation. And I think that is if I could take away one thing, I think it would be that one thing where yes, it looks like the starters are pretty solid for sure. It's just going to be a matter of, who else besides who how consistent can that bench be? And the answer, of course, in Central Michigan in the case of the Central Michigan game is, yeah, they were pretty consistent. They did pretty good.
Yeah, that was just a really good sign for them. And I wonder if O'Day coming off the bench is maybe an effort to bolster the bench and make it like, hey, we've got Cale Robinson, we've got Goretzka, we've got Wells, we got enough in the starting five. Let's shift you to the bench so that when you come in, and to Rocco Miller's point, maybe as a starter he's not always additive to winning, but off the bench when you need a guy with a little firepower, maybe you bring him off the bench and let him be the man in that scenario, and then play 20 minutes where it's O'Day ball. I didn't see the game because I've been traveling this week, but like maybe that's what a strategy to maximize his efforts would be going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think that's going to be so. I think again, it's And they play, and they got Eastern coming up. They got Eastern Kentucky coming up, which again historically has been a good matchup for Northern Kentucky, and I think that's definitely going to be another test, and that's going to be at home. So that's going to be another test for Northern Kentucky about where they are in the development process. And I think that's going to be a big one for them. I definitely do. But yeah,
Well,
they seem to be pretty well on their way, which is, I guess I mean, I think last year kind of messed us up because of, how, how things went for Northern Kentucky last season. It was kind of a decidedly down year for them, and we say down year, but they were still hovering around 500 the entire time. Um, and I think I suspect that this is not a good. I suspect that maybe last season was an aberration for them, but it's early in the season, so I guess we'll see.
so when we looked around the league, we had I just want to talk about it now. The other mid-major win that the league secured outside of Northern Illinois' win over Loyola was the Green Bay Phoenix. They came home with another. Are they MAC now? Is it UMass in the MAC? Did that
UMass
happen?
is in the MAC now. I had to remember this, by the way. This weird thing that UMass, who's been in the A10 for years, inexplicably moved over to the MAC, even though their football team is atrocious. I
So
mean,
yeah, UMass. They may be in the MAC, but I can guarantee they're still resourced at an A10 level. So that's a
oh
really
yeah,
good
it really
victory
is.
for the Phoenix in a game that really they controlled the whole way. And anytime there was an opportunity to waver down the stretch, Justin Allen and CJ O'Hara really came up big for them and just
Yeah,
made plays. I'm going to go on record here today and say at this point in the season, the best finisher around the rim in the Horizon League right now is CJ O'Hara. He has a very deep bag of finishes. I mean, he gets down there deep. He's not exploding up all the time for a dunk, although he got a couple of those off of back cuts and a huge home run play late in the game. But he is, he's got a full array of step throughs, spin and finish, up and around the other side, offhanded finishes. Like he has really improved in that regard. And then Justin Allen had a coming out party against UMass, and really he had started to show it a little bit against St. Thomas. He did, he showed the ability to get off the dribble, but he was really, really good offensively for the Phoenix, and honestly, defensively, he guarded Marcus Banks Jr. a lot, and I thought he did a really good job of making Marcus Banks Jr., who is UMass's best shooter, really, really work for the ball. And he took a lot of pride in his defense. So just a really good win for the Phoenix. And they played well against Yale, although Yale pulled some shots out of their butt late in the shot clock that caused the Phoenix to never be able to truly compete. I mean, they got down to like 2 late in the game, but never could get enough stops in that game to kind of have the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead. Whereas at UMass, they got enough stops that they never got to the point where UMass was coming down to tie or to take the lead.
sure.
So
Now, to your
really
point
good win
about Yale, now Yale is probably one of Yale is, from my understanding, is probably one of the best teams out of the Ivy League right now. Right now, Yale is kind of the only Ivy League team that isn't down right now. So this is a very good. I consider Yale to be a very good, team, and I think the expectation with them. I know there's expectations at this Paradise Jam tournament that they're the ones who come out the overall victor. So to keep it as close as Green Bay did, um, with this team, speaks volumes. And to your point, I think it did definitely carry forward into the UMass game. I feel like it just seems to me like that Minnesota game was kind of maybe that was the turning point that you take Minnesota to overtime, and maybe that's the turning point where we finally get to see kind of Green Bay finally break out of these doldrums it seems like they've been in for more than a season now. I think it seems to me that maybe this is it. Maybe we've finally gotten to that point where we're going to finally see what Doug Gottlieb sees when he sees this roster.
Yeah, I mean, we saw again a shortened rotation in these games, basically going with 8 guys. Uh, and LeBron Thomas got in there and gave him some things. They have to replace with the minutes that Dontrell Hewlett was playing, and LeBron Thomas got some of those minutes. Justin Allen, who literally 2 weeks ago against Buffalo got a DNP in his home state of New York, 2 weeks later is the leading scorer and making tremendous finishes, driving and attacking. I mean, he had one late in the second half, drove right-hand baseline, went up with his left hand on a floater, and it went right down. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, so they got some things out of some guys that basically weren't giving them anything 2 weeks ago. So that was really good for the Phoenix. They're going to play Iona on Monday, and that would be a really good sign. Again, Iona's another very well-resourced mid-major team, a bunch of transfers from various places. They kind of play an NBA style of basketball, in my opinion, is trying to spread out and let guys make plays. So we'll see how Green Bay defends that. But yeah, that was good win for the Phoenix. Do we want to talk about the other big win this week, the 50 piece that
No,
you
I want to
requested?
before we do that, I want to talk about I do want to talk about Marcus Hall because oh man, what was it? 56 seconds left in the game against Yale. He hurts his ankle. Ugh, that is the worst. And he didn't get to play at all against UMass.
He did not.
And it doesn't seem like he's going to be playing on Monday either, it looks like.
Yeah, they put out a little post on their social media indicating he's probably not going to be back for the rest of the tournament. Their next game after that is on Saturday against NAI Haskell, a game that they should win without him. So to me, I think he was at the game. He's not on crutches. He just looked like he wasn't in a walking boot. To me, this seems like the abundance of caution kind of opportunity. Just say, hey,
Sure.
let's focus on what really matters here. And they're going to open their Horizon League slate against Robert Morris at home. But I think it's more of a case of making sure that Marcus Hall is ready to go for the games that really matter. And again, as much as I want to win games in the Paradise Jam as a fan, what matters is the 20 games that comprise the Horizon League schedule and getting in the best position you can there. So hopefully it's just an abundance of caution thing with Marcus Hall, and not
Sure.
a Anthony Roy type thing that we dealt with last year.
Yeah, but it's again to your point. I mean, the good news out of that is that even without Marcus Hall, that game against UMass, you saw the guys rally around, and clearly that produced a win for them.
Yeah.
So that's extremely helpful. Um, Before we get into okay, let's go ahead and talk about Wright State's only game to this week. Is it their only game? Yes, they don't have to
Yeah,
play.
what's the only game?
Yes, their only game. They played Ohio Wesleyan. Thank you, Wright State, for beating them by more than 50.
53 for those scoring at home.
53.
I don't have
Outstanding.
anything to add other than I saw the score and I knew you would rejoice in happiness.
It's because I manifested it. That's why. Um, but one of the things I don't know exactly what to take away from this game, except for the fact that for a lot of the game, you saw a lot of guys, as expected with a game like this. They're non D1. Again, you would generally be disappointed if you generally be disappointed if your team didn't blow these guys out. So it should have been expected that my expectations for Wright State should have been the same as all the other Wright State fans. But the one thing I did hope to see, or maybe not me, but certainly Wright State fans, is when the game is that so far out of reach, the expectation is that you see a bunch of guys that you generally wouldn't see all the time. And I think that's kind of the one takeaway from this game for Wright State, and they scored 100 points. And from what it sounds like, they're probably not going to score 100 points again this season, and that's fine. But you saw a lot of guys in this game. You saw a lot of guys you didn't normally see, like Alex Bruscotter. We haven't seen a lot of him this season, but this was a good game for him to kind of better acclimate himself and probably make a statement to get some more playing time against some tougher opponents. I feel like my only concern in this game is Solomon Callahan because he was over 5 from 3-point land. Um, I feel like if Wright State is to compete even more moving forward, and again, this is not a deal breaker clearly because we saw them beat up on Radford too. Um, but the expectation is hopefully to have Callahan get that 3-point shot to fall a lot more, or period for that matter, because he was actually 0 for 5 against Ohio Wesleyan. But for
And I feel
the
like for 3-pointers, for him and Woods,
yeah,
people were kind of hoping they would take a step forward. And we talked about it on the podcast that I was a little concerned that when you shoot them as a second, third, or fourth option, it's different than shooting them as a first or as a primary option. And
hmm
those guys, I don't think Woods has shot the ball that well from deep most games, and I don't think he did
sure.
particularly well from deep. Maybe he's 102 or 103 or something. I can't remember. But they combined, they didn't hit very many against Ohio Wesleyan. And so to your greater point, some of your primary guards here need to get themselves straightened out offensively for this team
Sure.
to really make noise in the Horizon League.
Well, the other thing too about this game, because we've been talking about Michael Cooper, the freshman, um, and again, I think this might be a product of the opponent, because he only scored 6 points in this game, but at the same time, he only played 22 minutes. Um, but I feel, but while he only had 6 points, he still had 7 assists against 1 turnover, which is phenomenal. So it seems to me uh, that at the very least, Clint Sargent is found as point guard, and it's Michael Cooper. Um, and this is the other thing too. Um, again, I know this is a non D1 team, but when you think about when you think about teams like Horizon League teams playing non D1 competition, sometimes it gets a little, as you know, sometimes it gets a little sloppy. Sometimes the ball handling's pretty questionable. Wright State only had 9 turnovers in this game. 9, which with given how Wright State has had problems with this before, I think that may be a bigger takeaway than anything. Um, and I think should certainly that the ability for them to handle the ball, which again has been a problem, especially in the last couple of years. Maybe they can take that away from this game, if nothing else.
Well, and speaking of turnovers, as a takeaway, Youngstown went to Toledo and committed 22 turnovers. So
Oh,
while you've got Wright State showing some ability against anybody, doesn't matter, showing the ability to protect the ball. A team that's supposed to be at the top of the league goes into Toledo, commits 22 turnovers, pairs that with 54% field goal defense, and loses by 17 in a game that, quite frankly, the top of our league needs to win. And so, yeah, it's kind of a interesting
yeah.
juxtaposition for where Wright State was.
Yes, it is. Oh man, yeah, that the Toledo game was not anything to write home about for Youngstown State. Youngstown State, it does look like they're still missing Tyler Robinette, so that's a problem. To your point, the ball handling for Youngstown State is definitely hurt. It definitely hurt them in this game, and it definitely seemed like one of those games where offensively, defensively, things did not click. And to your point, you know, the field goal percentage is that because Youngstown State shot 49%. They shot 49% in this game and still lost by 17. So, the field goal, the defending against the shot and the turnovers just really killed them. And 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 yeah, the turnovers super killed them because Toledo got 31 points off of those turnovers. So yeah, that is, I mean, you can't, that's definitely something you can't do. And once again, Sean Craig taking revenge on all former Horizon League opponents with 18 points and 12 boards.
Coming to a high major team near you next season.
I don't know. I can't remember if is this his last season? I don't remember. Good question. But
Who
yeah,
knows? In today's day and age, I just assume you keep playing until you decide you want to retire. People are going to retire from college now.
yeah, you are correct. Yeah. One of the other issues Youngstown State had as well in this game is foul trouble. Because you had Chris Carroll who fouled out. You had Rich Rolfe who had I mean, Chris Carroll fouled out. Rich Rolfe fouled out, was in foul trouble. Jaden Haynes who was in foul trouble, so that limited their minutes. And that's not gonna that's that's gonna be a big problem for them. And that they definitely there was a lot of fouls in this game, and they allowed Toledo to get some more points that Youngstown State didn't get. So didn't have an
Probably the only
opportunity
positive,
for.
I'd say probably the big positive takeaway in that game was Bryson Dawkins.
Yeah,
I think he scored effectively. We've seen him now kind of maybe rounding into being a lead dog, if you will, leading scorer for that team. I thought he's going to be one of the top players in the league, and
sure.
if he can, be a guy that they can count on because they've got a depth of forwards. Like, yeah, they didn't have Robinette and Carroll fouled out and Roll fouled out, but they still have other big guys that they
Oh,
can play.
sure.
But having their lead guard do lead guard things, that that's going to be a big thing for them. So hopefully that he carries that forward as they clean up the turnovers. I'm sure Coach Faulkner's hasn't slept since 22 turnovers. He seems like the kind of guy that just watches those all night long and
Sure.
ingrains them into his head so that they never happen again. But
Yeah.
that's why I love Coach Faulkner. I'm not taking it as a rip on him. I'm saying I was like he just has that intensity. So
Yeah. One other thing too is we're seeing a lot. We're seeing Vlad Salarice ease into this rotation as well. Because Vlad Salarice, he shot really well. He was 6 for 8 in the shots he got. He got 13 points, and he was but and I feel like as he moves forward and theoretically once Robinette comes back, I feel that there's going to be a little bit more going on. Like I feel like that that we know that they're missing people out of their rotation. Maybe does hurt them more than we think it does. But
yeah,
I guess we'll find out. We're recording this on Sunday morning, and Youngstown State is in Jacksonville, Florida, playing in the Jacksonville Classic. Uh, and if you want to watch it, it's on that stupid what is it? Pass the ball live. I'm
basketball.
sure they're gonna charge you $25 for that crap too. Sorry guys. But we did see. By the way, I did see the by the way, Rob Schmidt, friend of the podcast, play-by-play guy for Youngstown State, he posted a picture of the court that they're going to be playing on. I did not know Ray Charles designed basketball courts.
Yeah, that was a
Because that
tough
thing
look.
is something else, let me tell you.
That was a tough look. I actually thought that was a custom court for the tournament, and I realized no, that's somebody's home court that they play on all the
Edward
time.
Waters University, I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't know who Edward Waters is, but uh, I guess he might have been their creative guy, and this is why we're having to see this. I mean, we're not going to see this because I'm not spending $25 on this again.
I
Or
know that around the
period.
Horizon League, there are purists that do not like the blacktop in Oakland. If any of those purists watch this court in Jacksonville, they
Oh
would
my
think that the
God.
blacktop was the prettiest thing that ever happened to basketball by comparison. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough watch, but hopefully they get that win. At Greensboro is normally a really good program. I believe
They
they're
are.
0-5 on the season. So this is a good opportunity for Youngstown to get that kicked off in the right way and hoping that they clean up their turnovers because they scored plenty of points.
Oh
They
yeah.
didn't play defense and turned the ball over.
Yeah, this is definitely one
Yeah,
of those this tournament here, this MTE for them, this Jacksonville Classic, I think is definitely an opportunity for Youngstown State to kind of shake off the loss to Toledo and definitely do well because they're playing UNC Greensboro and they're playing Georgia Southern. And these are games that, as
Gotta
I
win.
mentioned earlier, that should be that they we should our expectation as is that they win, that a Horizon League team wins
Win.
against these teams. Maybe it's
Yep.
unrealistic expectations, but they're expectations nonetheless.
I would agree. For a basketball league, you got to get those kind of wins. If we're not getting these
Absolutely.
kinds of wins, then we got to revisit what we're doing as a league because what we're doing isn't working. Anything else we need to talk about this week, Bob?
Yeah. Well, we got
Okay.
to talk about Robert Morris not doing so great against St. Bonaventure.
Their defense was fine, but they shot 36% from the field, 22% from three, and had 15 turnovers. So,
Yeah.
they had one of those games where frontline guys seem to do just fine, but 15 turnovers is a tough nut to overcome.
And
St. Bonaventure,
you're not winning any game if you're shooting 21% from 3 point.
nope,
That's just not going to happen. Especially
not
when
happening.
St. Bonaventure is doing way better than you. And the other problem too is St. Bonaventure was all over the glass. I knew that they were all over the glass in this game. And Frank Mitchell just pretty much owned the paint.
Yeah, he's Frank Mitchell's huge, and as much as I like the frontline players for Robert Morris, I think that they're better suited for Horizon League big men because there aren't guys built like Frank Mitchell in the Horizon League right now. You have Josh Hill who's tall, you have Chidakudis who's long, you have Deshaun Good who's like a prototypical Horizon big man, but Frank Mitchell's just a
Oh my
big,
God. By the way, I was like,
he's a
I'm
big and
glad you
big
brought up
man.
Chidakudis because the announce guys could not say his name to save their lives. Chikaudis, or I don't know what they were doing over there, man. Like, you're professionals, damn it. Ask
Yep,
someone.
ask someone. But yeah, Robert Morris, tough game. They play Monmouth today at Monmouth. So
Yeah.
again, that kind of game where, Horizon League, Monmouth is a program that vacillates. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're really bad. But this is the kind of game that a Robert Morris, we need. The league needs, they need to get, and it'd be good to overcome. Again, I thought they played good enough defense. I mean, yeah, 75 points, but the field goal percentage shooting wasn't outrageous that they allowed. They just literally shot terribly when they even got a shot off, and that's
Yeah.
not going to get the job done.
It is
Um,
not.
where
So,
else do we need to go? Milwaukee had a tough one at Wichita last night. Played 30
yeah.
really good minutes, and then basically Wichita got every rebound and made a whole bunch of threes.
Yeah.
Uh, Point guards kind of disappeared for Milwaukee last night. They got three guys that kind of can play that role, and none of them really did much statistically. I only saw the second half of the game, but they were right in there. But I'm sure Coach Lundy at this point doesn't care about
Yeah,
moral
they were up
victory.
by 11. By the way, they were at one point in time they were up by 11 in this game, and then Wichita State came back, and they just did not have an answer for them down the stretch. It
No,
was
that guard was making ridiculous
that
threes.
was definitely frustrating because it looked like they definitely had a shot to win this game, and it just slipped away from them. Um,
Yeah.
it definitely did, and it's too bad too because this definitely was there were definitely some high points there, but at a certain point in the second half, right, Wichita State just locked down, and that was kind of the ball game.
hmm Yeah. Very, very tough. I mean, I just remember one possession where they got like three or four cracks at it before they finally scored. It's like, man, that's just not going to work
No,
for getting a win like that. Like, but it's hard. Like going into Wichita, that's a tough place to play. That's a well-resourced team that's going to have some guys, pay for some guys. I mean, Milwaukee's able to get in there and go toe to toe for a while. So there's something to be said for you might be down, but don't be out because again, what matters starts in December for Horizon League teams. I hate saying that as a fan, but based on how the non-conference has gone, we don't have anybody that's positioned themselves very well right now.
no.
So now we're just down to the point where it is about league play. And for Milwaukee, there was 30 good minutes in there of basketball. So against a
All
team
right.
that's better than anybody in the Horizon.
Yep. We forgot one team, Jim, and you know which
Well,
team it is.
I didn't forget them. I just didn't know if you want to talk about the complete lack of defense coming out of Northeast Ohio, or
Oh,
if you just wanted to skip that for the week.
Oh no,
Uh,
no, no. We gotta talk about these two guys. Well, first of all, yeah, Cleveland State apparently they just gave up tons of points this year. They gave up 90 to Valpo and 91 against Kent State. The Kent State game was just clearly a night and day experience because this is a Kent State team that they did okay against. They didn't win, but I thought there was going to be a lot closer to that. It doesn't help that Trey Beard was out, and I think Josiah Harris ended up coming out of the game, getting hurt near the end of in the second half of this game, so that didn't help. Um, but the Valpo game hurts, Jim. It hurts a lot.
Valpo Valpo has improved this season record wise,
I don't care, Jim. I
but
do not
90
care
90
that
points
Valpo.
is a lot. And I think what you're running into for Cleveland State is, the cohesiveness on defense clearly isn't there. They're basically a three-man team with Beard, Harris, and Nessa, and then you're getting a little bit from Chevalier Emery offensively. But I'm guessing that he's, I've seen him in the past. He plays a little bit more of a 1-on-5 style of game, which is probably why he doesn't get more minutes. And even in the game against Kent State, he did not start, even though Beard was out. So like, there's something where he's not fitting with the rest of the guys, or at least that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
I guess the
want
only thing to
so.
look forward to is Cleveland State and IU Indy. Hopefully it's a game for the kids where each team scores 140, because that seems on the cards with the defense that these guys are
I
offering
mean,
up right now.
seriously, you're not kidding. But there were a couple of issues I had with this, but one issue was that I did not have is apparently James Squire was at the game and he was wearing a one of our Horizon's Gonna Horizon T-shirts. By the way, you can buy those. We got a link on the website to buy one of those. But shout out to James for because I saw him because I saw him during the broadcast doing that. Also, apparently, Jim, this was also the homecoming game for Cleveland State because apparently, for some reason, I don't know, but for some reason, Cleveland State decided, hey, let's have our homecoming game on a random Tuesday in November. Somebody's
I
not
I don't
talking to somebody over there, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised about that either.
I don't even have words to respond to that. That doesn't make much sense to my brain. But
It,
you know what?
yeah.
This is
Well,
this is also one that if you had asked me to put something on a proverbial bingo card at the start of the year, I would have said, yeah, I could see somebody dumb enough to do that. And apparently it was Cleveland State.
I mean, I guess I kind of get it because I mean, usually these types of things are on like a Saturday or something. But and to and to be fair to the basketball team, their weekend their weekend games they've been out of town, so makes sense that the Kent State game they were in Kent for that. So it stands to reason that they basically picked what they did, but at the same time, no. Just I
Don't
mean,
don't
if
just
this
do
is
it,
gonna be, I mean,
Bob.
if this is gonna be something that you do, like, you, if this is
Either do
something
it
that
right
you
or
guys
don't
are
do it.
really married to, at least coordinate a little better.
Yep.
Or
Do it right or don't do it. Like that
exactly,
is,
do it right or don't do it at all.
I
I
get that they
mean,
haven't been home, but that's also a functionality of it wasn't important enough to spend money to get a home game. Like you can make anything happen. Like this
sure.
is the whole equation is money. Yeah, I know money doesn't grow on trees, or it's hard for these commuter public schools. But at the end of the day, these schools can make anything happen. They
Yeah.
can they can put their resources where they want to.
Or conversely, the university didn't think it was important enough to try to work with to coordinate to actually do this on a team. I mean, do this on a day that, quite frankly, you knew they were going to be home, and obviously that wasn't the case. Clearly, that wasn't the case. He, but again, it's also kind of weird that it's like if I think about Cleveland State and their homecoming weeks, there have been years that they didn't have this thing was on like on a random October when nobody was playing. So it's like, okay, why did I mean you could have did this in October this year and you could have had the homecoming game be a soccer game, which would have been awesome because Cleveland State won the soccer Cleveland State won the regular season title
Horizon.
and the Horizon League tournament. Shout out to them. Unfortunately, they were knocked out of the NCAA tournament by, uh, if I'm not mistaken, the national runners up from last year, Marshall. It's 1-0 game. So, but yeah, that was definitely clearly they gave the national runner up from last year a run for their money. So, hey, nothing to hang your head on. But yeah, they've done that before, and they could have did that this year. But for some reason, that's not what happened. And I'm so happy I spent the last part of this talking about this. It's like every time I turn around, there's something about my alma mater that annoys the crap out of me. And here we are again. Why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? And why am I the only person complaining about it? It's funny, because there's always a conversation about whether or not Cleveland State is going to stay Division One or not, and there's only like maybe a half a dozen people who actually care. The other 100,000 alumni and students, they couldn't care less at all. And I'm beginning to wonder, maybe they're not wrong.
They are wrong,
Maybe
Bob.
maybe it's because I care entirely too much, and maybe should come up with some other hobbies in my life. But nope, I guess that's not what it's just not in the cards for me. This is my lot in life, and I shall press forward.
Well, I'll leave you with this. They are wrong. Athletics, when done correctly, is a important part of the campus community. Clearly, there's some sort of disconnect between campus and the athletic department currently for Cleveland State, but all things that can be worked on over time with consistent planning and vision. And so it may seem like, is this really important? Should we even have athletics to many people? But you show me a really well run big university that doesn't have athletics. I'd be hard pressed to imagine there's one out there that's like just said, you know what, we're going to be a huge school. It's an important part of our community and not have an athletic department. I can't think of one off the top of my head, although I'm sure somebody will point one out to me. So.
Really, yeah. Again, this is, but yeah, it's frustrating. It's like, I mean, it's just one of the many things that I've been seeing that I've seen over the last year. I'm not even that close. Yeah, I got 2 degrees from this place, but I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself, that close to it. But it still annoys the crap out of me that I have to like witness everything that has been, all the things that happen. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's a conversation. I mean, at this point in time, I'm just podcast guy who is just sitting here complaining about things that nobody cares about, but it's okay. I'm
That's all right. Well,
pressing on.
I'm
Let's
gonna
wrap
wrap
it
it up.
up. Yeah,
Shout out.
you got fun in the sun to look forward to. What are we talking about here?
I got fun in the sun, and shout out to Green Bay women's basketball with the P4 victory over Kansas State at home,
Oh yeah.
47-44 yesterday. That is your obligatory win over a high major. They had one in their hands last week against Wisconsin, but it slipped away at the end. They did not lose grasp of this one over the Kansas State Wildcats, so congrats to the Lady Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all I
It's
got.
good. Yeah, that's yeah. The definitely on the women's side, you're seeing a lot more. It's funny because on the women's side, you're seeing a lot more. You see on the women's side the stuff we expect on the men's side every year. Maybe that's why we have the expectations that we do because we see what happened. You see how well the Horizon League does on the women's side, and you don't see that on the men's side by and large. And maybe it's because it's a different dynamic, but still, you can't look
It's
past
Apple.
it.
It's apples and oranges.
It
Like
is
Kansas
apples and
State men
oranges.
are never going to come to Green Bay. The
No,
women's basketball, it's just different dynamics. It's different. It's different economies that run all of it. It's an amazing game. It's really enjoyable to watch. But like, you can't even be like, oh well, they got Kansas State to come here. Why can't Green Bay men get anybody? They would gladly take anybody coming. It's just not going to happen. So it's apples and oranges. But let's not compare apples to oranges. Let's just enjoy each for what they are. And this week, the women's basketball had a very nice one. So awesome for that.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so Jim, that is going to wrap it up for us. So tune in next week. Hey, we finally get some time. We don't have any games on Thanksgiving. Our 3-week marathon ends on Thanksgiving. It ends on Wednesday, and then Thanksgiving we get to enjoy the holiday the best we can. But next week, we'll definitely be back. One other thing too, Jim. Next week, we actually will. Next week, since we've got the conference schedule coming up. We're kicking off season 2 of Expand Your Horizon Preview Edition. So be on the lookout for the first episode of the new season on that front. But until then, HorizonRoundtable.com is where you can find all of our articles and all of our podcast episodes. You can pull us up wherever podcasts are available, and you can pull us up on your Amazon or Google devices. So tune in next week when we have a regular episode, and we have and then also tune in for the first episode of the new season of Expand Your Horizon Preview Edition. But until then, thank you all for listening.